Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bregaton. Let's level up and take a look at Abelard. For my main character, another level into Officer, and we get to choose a skill to put 10 points into. I'm going to go with Persuasion, then I'll bump it up to 50, tying it with Coercion as being my two highest skills. We also gain 1 hit point. And for Abelard, Warrior, same thing, choose a skill to put 10 points into. And based off his characteristics and skills, I'm going to lean into Carouse, because that's currently his highest skill, and it scales with Toughness, which is his highest characteristic.
We are the spearhead of the Imperium.
Alright, let's look him over. So he's an Iconoclast 2. So at first level, it's a follower. When one of the conviction branches reaches rank 3 Votary, it becomes the character's main focus. When that happens, the other two conviction branches cannot be raised above the rank 3 adherent. Belief in the value of human life and freedom. Faith in the power of goodwill, capable of overcoming the horrors and dangers of the universe without the need for artificial prohibitions. The desire to seek out common ground and compromise rather than an uncompromising destruction. Above the thundering guns. The Rogue Trader and 2 random allies start combat with temporary wounds equal to their own resolve. And level 2 Adherent. Gives him Master of Command. In the first round of every combat, the Rogue Trader and their allies gain additional MP. Cool. And we saw these last time. We didn't look over Warrior. Warriors are combatants boasting exceptional melee prowess, capable of dealing high damage in close quarters combat, and withstanding heavy amounts of damage. They also excel at drawing enemies' attention from less defended allies. Core focus, melee, movement and dodge, armor and parry, taunts, and soaking damage. We saw Charge, his keystone feature. Ultimate abilities. Daring Breach. The warrior immediately restores all AP and MP and gains an agility bonus MP until the end of the turn. They don't lose MP after performing attacks. The warrior has no limit on melee weapon attacks this turn. And Daring Breach. Oh, okay. Heroic Act and Desperate Measures. The warrior immediately restores all AP and gains MP until the end of turn. The warrior has no limit on melee weapon attacks this turn. Starting from the next round and until the end of combat, the warrior can't use charge and their MP are reduced by 3. And his focus are weapon skill, strength, toughness, and agility, and skills carouse, athletics, coercion, demolition, and medikai. Alright, no changes with reputation here, but we see some of the factions. The Drusians, or Drusians, Explorators, Aspilica Mission, Fellowship of the Void, Imperial Navy, Profit Factor. Profit Factor is a representation of the relative value of the Rogue Trader's warrant of trade and what opportunities and resources it can call upon. Alright, to the Navigator Sanctum. Alright, so this is the map of our void ship. So here's a map of your void ship. It consists of several parts between which you can travel. Some parts are not yet available, but over time your character will be able to access them.
Always keep.
The Navigator Sanctum is directly along the passageway. I pray to the God Emperor that we are not too late.
Let's do a quick save.
And so, He will enter the halls of the blinded guide and witness the radiance of the final dawn through the cracks and fall victim to a whim of fate.
So we've seen her name before. Theodora had asked for her at one point. The woman before you whips around and gazes straight at you, her eyes glowing with otherworldly light.
Master, watch your head. Idira, would it be too much to ask that you phrase your soothsayings plainly for once? That was too close.
My character just pull out a combat roll to get out of the way. Abelard grumbles as he dusts himself off and grips his weapon again.
Sorry, old man. The voices are so loud I can't even hear myself. They shriek, they sing, they... Oh, Abelard, how they sing!
The woman bursts into guttural, drunken laughter.
This is Idira Tlas, personal Psyker and diviner of Her Ladyship Theodora von Valencius. Idira?
Abelard looks her up and down.
I'm not drunk, old man. I'm suffering the effects of the warp that is seeping through these walls. I see the ship's fate. To die in the waves of the immaterium, fall under the burning rays of the final dawn. And in the roaring blaze, I see a figure standing. Who is it? I have no answer.
The entity in your consciousness shrinks and crawls in deeper, its claws scraping against the walls of your mind, as if the presence is trying to hide from the seer standing before you. Oh yeah, that thing's still inside of us. A diviner, are you?
The voices from beyond the threshold whisper to me. Sometimes their murmurs are clear, they grant insight. Sometimes they drive me mad. But I am patient. I know how to listen and discern. But now, with this clamor around me, too many voices, too loud.
Idira nods, and her gaze is directed somewhere away from you.
And you are von Valencius, one of Lady Theodora's heirs. Well then, we finally meet.
Idira turns her head to you, her vacant eyes flaring like embers. You hear a few clicks from the relays on the servo skull, which has followed you all the way here, and Theodora's scrambled words give way to a voice vaguely familiar to you. Officer's frequency. All who can hear me, those with a weapon in their hands, are to gather on the officer's deck at once. I repeat, gather on the officer's deck at once. Prepare to launch a counterattack.
That's Edelthrad. Oh, Emperor's providence. The other heir lives as well. Quickly, we must head to...
So Edelthrad wasn't voice acted when we met him. I'm guessing he's going to die, and based on what Theodora said, he's going to turn into a chaos spawn. Or something like it.
Not so fast, old man. If we drown in the warp, Lady Theodora's heirs won't be any good to us. If Edelthrad's like me and hasn't yet surrendered his mind or body to the mercy of the warp, then he can still hold on a little longer without us.
Blast it. You're right. First, we need to deal with what is happening here.
Abelard spits out a florid curse. How do you know who I am?
What? You think Lady Theodora didn't ask me to peek into the darkness behind the backs of those she sees as her prospective heirs? I have seen you. I have seen the footsteps of your past and the wounds of your heart.
Idira laughs in a deep voice. You flinch at the seer's words. No doubt she's referring to the nightmares, the tortures inflicted upon your body and mind. Your muscles contract involuntarily, as if steeling themselves once more for the inevitable pain. What are you doing here?
The whispers called me. The ones I could make out among all the screams and screeches. Those who are rocking this boat hit us where it hurt. They went after the Navigator, our guide through the warp. Other whispers called me to the engineerium, but it was too late. I heard the cry of our master Cog, and the silence that followed.
What? You don't mean the Engineer Prime is...
Said, without a doubt. And the voices wail, heralding countless nightmares, cackling at each soul among the hundreds that are now joining the warp. The shriek from the Navigator Sanctum was louder than the rest. And it's better that we saved the Navigator than some lever puller from a cooling module or a cook from the middle decks.
We must see if the Navigator is well.
Oh no. No. Nothing is well about him. Can't you feel the chill crawling on your skin? The eyes watching you? The warp ice has already encased the bulkheads. What follows is calamity. But we're not just going to stand here and take it, are we? The state of things in here suggests there's a Navigator around. Maybe one who's crippled or at death's door, but still kicking. And since our skin hasn't peeled off our faces just yet, his third eye must be closed. At worst, it's a little roughed up. So what are we moping around for? Let's go protect that noble mutant while we're still alive.
Idira freezes as she slaps her cheeks, rubs her face, and looks at you. The supernatural glow is gone from her eyes, and a smirk spreads across her lips. Okay, I know how to control the party. Nothing new there. Also, I meant to give my main character the last pistol that he has equipped, because my character gets a plus 10% bonus. A crit chance. With trusty weapons. Does he get anything? Oh yeah, we need to look over this. So Abelard's from an Imperial world. An Imperial world is one of a million planets united by the belief in the immortal god Emperor. Hailing from hyper-technological societies to grimy feudal populations, the inhabitants of countless worlds offer fealty and devotion to the master of humanity and the Imperial creed espoused by his servants. The designation Imperial World encompasses a vast array of wholly dissimilar worlds that are, nevertheless, part of the Imperium. So it features humanity's finest. Imperial World characters can select any characteristic except for weapon skill or ballistic skill, and add plus 10 bonus, which I'm assuming he applied to Carouse. Does it get applied to the base value? Alright, talents, ready to serve. When an Imperial World character is affected by an ally's non-damaging ability or affects an ally with such an ability, the resolve is increased by their fellowship bonus for 1 round. Well, that works well with my main character. Better to die for the Emperor. While under 40% wounds, Imperial World characters gain plus 10 bonus to all characteristics and plus 2 to resolve. Doing my part. If no other character in the current party has the same archetype as this character, the first use of any abilities from this archetype costs 1 AP less. Well, that's handy. No heresy. Imperial World characters gain plus 10% critical hit chance and plus 10% armor against Xenos or demonic creatures. Your allies gain half the bonuses of no heresy. Oh, that's handy. However, Imperial World characters Lore Xenos and Lore Warp are always 0. Okay, well, he won't be doing those skill checks, obviously. Stronger together. All allies, excluding Xenos and the current party, gain plus 5 to the same characteristic as was chosen for humanity's finest. And which one was chosen for humanity's finest? I'm guessing Carouse. It is quite a bit higher than the rest.
should I divine our next step?
Alright, let's take a look at Idira. What does she start with? She's a psychic staff and a last pistol. Great. And she has forewarning. The Psyker increases the target's dodge and parry by plus 10% until the end of combat. It's pretty handy, because it's till the end of combat. Psychic Streak deals from 7 to 16 damage to the target. And analyze enemies. The operative targets one enemy within 10 cells from the operative. That target immediately gains plus 2 exploits. So an exploit. If the operative hits a target with an exploit stack, the attack deals perception bonus % more damage. The damage is also increased by 10% for each exploit on the target. The attack removes all exploits from the target. And our Vox Skull is still talking. Draw strength from your unwavering faith and find courage in fulfilling your final duty. For showing weakness before his enemies is heresy. Alright, we're going to take a look at Idira before we proceed. Ooh, heretical. At level 2. So devotion to the corruption and taint of the warp through total submission to the basest and darkest impulses of the soul, or constant worship of the ancient gods of the Immaterium. She gets resource preservation. The Rogue Trader and their allies gain a 20% chance to save a combat stimulant or a medikit after using it. And an adherent, destroy the weak. For the first round of combat, everyone in the Rogue Trader's party gains a 25% chance to regain 1 AP after killing an enemy. However, triggering this effect immediately manifests psychic phenomena. It does not reset the cooldowns of attacks and abilities. Psychic phenomena. Each time a Psyker uses their psychic powers, the veil between real space and the warp degrades, which can trigger psychic phenomena. Psychic phenomena are more disconcerting than dangerous, intruding into the thoughts of people around the Psyker or causing omens and visions. Psychic phenomena reduce the momentum of the party, distracting them from combat, lowering their morale, or just causing bad luck. Psykers can be sanctioned or unsanctioned. Chances that sanctioned Psykers will cause psychic phenomena are halved, while unsanctioned Psykers instead have increased chances and +1 to their Psi rating. In Psi rating, each level of Psi rating gives a Psyker access to new psychic powers. It also intensifies damaging psychic powers. Oh, we didn't finish with Abelard. So he's a Navy officer. The Imperial Navy is responsible for the fleets of void ships that assert the dominance of the Imperium amid the stars, fulfill other duties connected to the void and warp travel. Used to be a Navy officer and a commander of a void ship, hardened in numerous battles and famous for resounding victories. We already saw a brace for impact. He gets +5 to agility and fellowship, and commerce and demolition. And he'll get +5 to agility and +10 to demolition later. Then talents, do not falter. All allies affected by brace for impact do not suffer the negative effects of melee superiority for the entire combat. The melee superiority. In melee combat, any target surrounded by more allies than enemies receives a +10 weapon skill bonus for each additional ally. Larger creatures need to be surrounded by more than 2 enemies to provide this advantage to the attackers. Scatter. All allies affected by brace for impact suffer only half damage from all attacks of opportunity. Perfect timing. All allies affected by brace for impact gain 30% to cover penetration. The Navy officer also permanently gains +15% to cover penetration. Get off me. Brace for impact also allows the Navy officer to use any ranged weapon in threatened areas, knocks enemies prone, and pushes them 1 cell away during the effect. And get into cover. All allies affected by brace for impact gain an extra turn with 0 AP and 3 MP, and increase their cover efficiency by 20% for 1 round. And for Idira, she's an operative. So I analyzed enemies already, and she took awareness, which is her highest skill. Yeah, so willpower and perception are her highest characteristics. Cool. Alright, she's from a forsaken world. The planet of Lyra lies in the deeper reaches of the Coronis Expanse. After a prolonged loss of contact with the Imperium, its population descended into heresy and turned to sorcery and forbidden knowledge to ensure their own survival and welfare. So she also gets humanity's finest. Wait, these are all... Imperial World bonuses. Is that right? Might be. Well, either way, we've read all that, so I don't need to read it again. And Unsanctioned Psyker. This character is an unsanctioned Psyker, dangerous and uncontrolled. All psychic powers used by this character have 5% chance to trigger Perils of the Warp, and are resolved as if the Psyker's psi rating was one level higher. Alright, Perils of the Warp. This dangerous phenomenon may occur whenever Veil Degradation reaches 15, and a major psychic power is activated. The chance of this happening is 10 plus psi rating plus Veil Degradation %. Perils of the Warp are dangerous to anyone in the vicinity of the Psyker. Their manifestation can push away characters, damage them, summon demons, fill the area with motive force charges, and much more. Perils of the Warp are unpredictable and extremely dangerous. Sounds like it. She has plus 5 to willpower and plus 10 to lore warp. Abilities: Divination. Divination specializes in gleaning information and using it to turn fortune in your favor. Diviners find useful insights everywhere, manifesting extrasensory abilities and glimpsing the future. Biomancy. Biomancy focuses on manipulating living flesh and biological processes. Biomancers can heal wounds and alter physical characteristics. Telepathy. Telepaths are psychers whose mental expertise lies in contacting and controlling the minds of others. With a single thought, a telepath can tear away his foe's sanity, induce states of numbing terror, or possess his victims through thoughts and mold their actions as if they were his own. Pyromancy. A pyromancer is a master of flame, a psyker who is able to create searing infernos out of thin air. Pyromancy is one of the most spectacular and destructive forms of psychic ability. Those who face a pyromancer in combat are often reduced to naught but a pile of charred bones. Sanctic powers. A concentration of faith, sanctic powers are used by pious psychers to protect allies and smite heretics. We've seen psi rating. A thriving in peril. Every Perils of the Warp increases momentum by a formula. A power conduit. After triggering psychic phenomena or Perils of the Warp first time each turn, the Psyker's next psychic power costs one less action point. Advice and guidance. The first time in combat that an ally becomes the target of the Psyker's psychic power, this ally gains plus 10 to weapon skill and ballistic skill until the end of combat. Blade of Light. Force weapon attacks deal just more damage and have more armor penetration. Enforce Reality. Usage of a heroic act by the Psyker decreases Veil Degradation by her intelligence bonus. Psychic Barrage. Whenever the Psyker uses a damaging psychic power on targets that are 6 cells or farther from the Psyker, the targets suffer an additional BS bonus damage. Second Sight. The Psyker's psychic powers that have a range of 2 cells or more have their range increased by their perception bonus. Stabilizing Factor. The first psychic power used each turn increases Veil Degradation by 2 points less. This talent reduces the effect on Veil Degradation to less than 0. Veil Degradation is instead decreased by 1. Subtle Manipulation. The Psyker can use a damaging psychic power while being threatened by enemies in melee range, without provoking attacks of opportunity. Non-damaging psychic powers do not provoke attacks of opportunity even without this talent. An Obscure Threat. While the Psyker is not in the target's line of sight, or the Psyker is in cover, all resistance tests of the target suffer a penalty. So I don't need to read the talents now, but when we get to the point where we can select talents, there'll be a lot more to go through. And so I think it's best to read them now before I have to clump them all together, because these are the origin-specific talents, but there's also general talents you can access, like bolter proficiency, or I think chainsword proficiency, or chain weapon proficiency, whatever it is. So it's saving me some hassle later on. A piece of pipe left a noticeable dent in the floor.
Let us not dawdle.
Locked door. Alright. Hurry, destroy this field. Don't keep our master waiting. Into the breach, lads.
Run, fools, or fall!
I will level you!
Make a position all the way up here. Oh wow.
Brush this off.
The hologram just shows you where you're going. Pretty straightforward.
On it. You never stood a chance.
Didn't actually mean to cleave there, but that works. I'm gonna activate this for next turn in case we need it. I'll use it on that guy. I don't think we can one-shot him. Oh, didn't even see that guy. Yeah, so we've already read the description for that. Okay, so we can find specialist staves later on. Neat. Up to 4 targets, okay. It's only costs 1 AP, so let's Oh, that's for these guys. That's not what I was trying to do. Analyze enemies, there we go.
No can do.
No line of sight. Fine. Oh, it hits allies too. Okay, that's right. They did bring up friendly fire before. That's my bad.
I'm not interested.
I'm still too close? That's fine. Not too far away. Fair enough. The creature in the chair appears as if it has become one with its throne. You see pink, parchment-like skin stretched between the seat and the limbs that have too many joints for a normal human being. The Navigator is breathing heavily. They are whistling as it exits through the 2 dark gill-like slits on its cheeks. The creature's eyes are shut, the 2 ordinary eyes, as well as the 3rd one that sits in the center of its forehead. I believe Master Vespiata still lives. Abelard flinches at the sight of the stretched skin, the dark marks on the face of the creature. The servants are dead, but the chamber, thank the Emperor, is still sealed from the warp. We have a chance of leaving this place alive. Address Idira. What's wrong with him? Idira winces, wounded, exhausted, fighting back the endless horrors of the warp that are forcing their way into his head. Pick one. The Navigator stirs, barely able to lift his head and half open his normal eyes. The dark drop rolls from under the closed lid of the third eye and down his face, leaving behind a black trail. Your time is short. The voice is coming from the Vox scroll at the base of the bizarre chair. It is unclear how the Navigator is able to produce human speech. Our time is short to do what? Suddenly, the Navigator's body starts thrashing in place. It lurches forward and falls back onto the seat, then thrusts forward again as its bones crack and its skin tears open. However, the fusion between the body and the chair appears to be stronger than these wild impetuses. The mutant remains seated but leans as far forward as he can, his layered raiment slowly turning crimson. The gill slits burst open, forming two hideous screaming mouth-like pits. Fall to your knees, mortals, and behold the final dawn. Idira shrieks in terror. It came from beyond. His body is not his. Idira's scream is echoed by the silent cries in your head. The unseen creature triumphs at the sight of the Navigator succumbing to the paroxysms of corruption. Its march thunders under the burden of hopes. Unseal your hearts, and I will flood your souls with myriads of words and meanings, each one a portent of salvation within me. The Navigator continues to convulse violently in his seat, shrieking and cackling, but then his fit stops abruptly. His face is drenched in black and crimson. The dark ooze from under his third eyelid has turned from a trickle into a stream mixed with the blood coming out of his nose, and there is a purplish swelling around the eye. Run. Flee from this place while I still have the strength. The words come out of the Vox as a labored rattle. I can contain the intrusion, but not for long. We must begin the translation. Leave the warp. But it can't be done without the Master Helmsman's help. Who torments you? The Edge. The Navigator starts thrashing about once more, his gill mouths bursting with crazed laughter. Kneel before the ascent of a new champion. When the rite is complete, this shell will burst, and thousands of maws will accept the sacrifice offered to the edge of daybreak by the bringer of twilight, the one marked by the will of the gods. Each word rings through your head like the tolling of a bell, as if countless voices have joined in, screaming into your ears. For a moment, you lose your bearings. This unholy chorus must be trying to confound you with sounds not meant for this world. I want to help you. Tell me how. The Navigator takes a ragged breath. Run. The Sanctum will be sealed. I will hold it off. Hold on. And wait for the signal from the Master Helmsman. Then I'll commence the translation. So run. Run. Address your companions. What is that supposed to mean? A rite. A sacrifice offered. But my heart tells me that Conrad was not deterred by his defeat in the Warren Chamber. What? Conrad betrayed Lady Theodora. Idira clutches her head. But how is that? How? He was as loyal as a dog. And I didn't hear a thing, I swear. The Navigator, or rather the thing that is so determined to seize his body, erupts into mocking laughter. The footfalls of the bringer of twilight are veiled by the will of his masters. Tear out your eyes. She who is to become the champion servant, but you need them no longer. Address Abelard. The Navigator is still alive, but barely so. What do we do now? Seneschal gazes at the figure in the chair. The ship can only begin the translation with the assistance of the Master Helmsman, if he is still alive. It is worth a try. We must get to the bridge, but we will need support. Our only option is to fight our way to the officer's deck and join forces with Ethelthrad and his people. I believe we will also find Lady Theodora there. She must have heard the call to arms that the service goal relayed to us earlier. Idira reaches her hand out toward the Navigator, but pulls it back at the last moment. Vespiatus, good luck, and thank you. The Navigator does not give her a response. Black tears mixed with blood are streaming from under the closed eyelids, and the box at the base of the chair is bellowing out static interspersed with distant echoes of otherworldly laughter. The Navigator appears dead. Only the slight movement of his chest and the twitching of his eyelids They know that he is still clinging to life.
Keep your wits about you.
Oh, an axe. Definitely going to equip that. And a scrappy auto gun. Alright, so the axe is an upgrade for us. Not damage-wise, but we have a higher crit chance with it, thanks to our Death World, Homeworld talent. And so Abelard can have his chainsword back. Alright, same thing. You know, since it doesn't take action points to swap between weapon sets, I guess there's no reason not to equip this. Let's take a look around the Navigator Sanctum.
I always have a backup plan.
The Navigator Sanctum is the private haven of the ship's guide through the warp, and a death trap for anyone left inside after translation to the Immaterium. We seem to be doing okay. You see this purple effect here, that is the warp leaking through.
I always keep my options open.
That way or this way? We'll find out next time. Either way, for now, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.